What's up, guys? We're live. We're going to be doing this full card betting breakdown for UFC 270. We got two title fights on the card. We just saw the press conference. I thought it was kind of a weird press conference. Wasn't really too into it, but it was interesting. And got my guy here. We got Rocket Sports. So yeah, man, just giving him a shout out here. And what's up, man? What do you want to say? And tell him about you a little bit.
Yeah, I've been following MMA Prediction Guru for a while now. He's got very good picks, and we've been going back and forth on Twitter for a while now. And if you guys are interested in what I got to say, you can follow me at Rocket Sports. It's kind of in the description here, or right above my video. But I do NFL and MMA and MLB when it comes around. So yeah.
Yeah, man. So like, tell me. So you have an algorithm that you use, right? And you're have been doing sports betting for a while now, for sure, right?
Yeah, so the last couple of years, I've been developing an NFL algorithm, and basically last year I've proven that it's over 70% right over the course of the whole year. So I use that to dictate my bets, and then dictate what injuries are happening, and what common sense stuff is happening. So yeah, I got an algorithm.
Yeah, for sure, man. But we're here to break down this card for UFC 270. So we're gonna get into it. We got this first fight on the card. It's a female fight. We got Kay Hansen. She's gonna be taking on Jasmine Jizuda Vicious. So what do you think about this fight? Are you looking at a bet on this fight, or what are your thoughts, really?
To be honest, a lot of these prelims I'm not really looking to bet on, but Kay Hansen is pretty tough. She's pretty strong. She's got decent boxing, good judo, but she needs to work on her defense. And a lot of these prelim fights have got a lot of Dana White Contender Series fighters on here, and it's hard to determine how they truly fight, because when we see fighters go on that show, they're a little too aggressive than they normally are. So, I mean, when I watch Jasmine, I can only see her on the Dana White Contender Series, and she's not very good on the stand up, but she's got constant pressure and decent top control, and I could see that being a problem for Kay Hansen. But I feel like with Kay Hansen's experience and durability, she should pull out the win. So I feel like Kay Hansen will not bully her, but she should win the tight positions and end up with a decision.
Yeah,
What do
man.
you?
I'm actually on the other side on this one, so I'm gonna actually go with the underdog here. She's I feel like the line is off, man. I feel like it should be a lot closer to a pick 'em sort of line, because we have Kay Hansen here. She's a young girl. She's 22 years old, so you always have to take that into account, especially when she's fighting someone that's a little older, like in her 30s. She definitely has a little bit of an advantage on Kay in that experience edge. I feel like a little bit. And Jasmine's a really good wrestler. We have Kay. She's a grappler as well. And I feel like, Jasmine is going to be able to get the takedowns a little bit easier than Kay is in this fight. I feel like Kay has a lot of upper body takedowns, judo takedowns, and she will shoot on the legs, but I don't really feel like her freestyle wrestling is as good. I feel like Jasmine, she has pretty high level wrestling from she's won some tournaments. She's done well in some things like that, like grappling tournaments. And I feel like on the feet, she has a big reach advantage as well. She is significantly taller. She's has, like I just said, a longer reach. And Kay Hansen, she's been working a lot on her boxing and, trying to use her striking a little bit more. And I don't know. I mean, she also is coming up to 125 pounds for this fight. So this isn't her normal weight class for Kay Hansen. And she also had all that issue where she was talking about how she had an eating disorder this year, and that's why she's going to be fighting at this weight class. She doesn't want to cut weight, and she hasn't fought in a long time. So I kind of feel like there's certain red flags with Kay Hansen, where when I'm looking at the number on Jasmine, I think it's pretty appetizing. I think a bet is decent on Jizuda Vicious there. She's training at Syndicate MMA. She has a good camp. She also, has pretty good experience. She's fought some amateur fights. She's 6-1 as a pro. So I think that Jizuda Vicious here, at that number is, fairly good bet there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kay Hansen goes in there and is able to kind of pressure her, land some punches on the feet, get the takedowns, things like that. But Yeah, I mean, I feel like this fight, in terms of a bet, it's a dog or pass situation. But what do you think? Like, if you had to bet the fight, would you go with the favorite or would you go with the Jizuda Vicious here?
See, this is where I run into trouble because I totally agree the line should be closer, but because of that, I feel like the line that Vegas knows something that we don't, and I don't know. I if I would have put money, I would definitely not put it on Hansen. I wouldn't throw in a parlay. Wouldn't bet her straight. If I was gonna throw a unit on her, I would throw it on your girl. But this is just not a bet for me. I'm just gonna stay off it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, I mean, all these fights, like on the prelims, it's hard to stay off all of them because it's like, man, there a lot of these are like low level fights. You want to put a few bets on, but fuck, man, like this fight too, like Matt Fravola versus Geraldo Valdez or Gennaro Valdez. It's like when I watched Valdez fight, I just was not very impressed. He's a grappler, kind of pressure fighter. It seems like he is durable. He's Mexican and everything like that, but
Yep,
just
yep.
didn't think he was that skilled. And Fravola, you know, recently he just got knocked out in 7 seconds. His last fight against Terrence McKinney. He has another fight where he got knocked out really quickly and just doesn't have the best chin, obviously, but it seems like fairly well-rounded guy. He has really good cardio and is a decent wrestler. And I mean, I'm just going to go with Fravola because he has the experience here. And I don't know. I think that he needs to bounce back. If he loses this fight after getting knocked out in 7 seconds, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the UFC cut him, 3 losses in a row. So fighting for his career here, I think it's another guy coming off the contender series. He is 10-0, so probably going to be very confident. But yeah, just wasn't too impressed with Valdez. So do you have a bet here on this fight or a side that you're leaning towards?
Yeah, I actually went the other way. I actually put a unit on Valdez. I'm kind of a sucker for him. He's pretty tough, and I don't know. I mean, just watching the Dana White Contender Series, he had that constant pressure, but like he's pretty well rounded everywhere, and I feel like he's gonna find that extra tick to go above Matt Fravola. I mean, on Tapology here it says plus 170, but I got him at plus 190, and at that price, I feel like it's too hard to pass up, and it should be a lot closer than what it is. So
Yeah.
Matt Fravola is tough. He's well rounded, pretty much like Valdez. But yeah, give me Valdez at plus 190.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at that number, I would definitely bet the underdog because, like I said, I can't trust Fravola's chin, and I feel like he's kind of just, on the feet, he just really kind of spams overhands, and I think both these guys on the feet are really pretty bad. I mean, Valdez, we saw his last fight with that Patrick White guy, and like that was just
Yeah,
like a back and forth brawl. Like there was pretty much no defense in that fight. So I mean, I think that I'm just going to go with the experienced guy as a pick, but I
right.
agree. I mean, if you're going to bet it, I think you got to bet the guy that's taking less damage and is undefeated, coming in here. So I would agree with that, but, I don't know. That's a fight that I really think I don't even know if either guy should be sticking around in the UFC long term, but yeah, that's what we got there on that second fight. But yeah, up next year we got Vanessa Demopolis versus Silvana Juarez, another kind of lower level fight. But what do you think about this one here?
Yeah, Vanessa, and Sylvia here, they match up pretty well size. Sylvia's got quite a bit of age experience here, and Vanessa's been in the UFC for a little bit longer. This is another toss up. I went with Vanessa, but honestly, this could go either way. If you're gonna bet this, I'd probably go with the dog. This is a dog or pass spot, but honestly, you can't really find much on either of these fighters, and honestly, neither of them are very good, and there's really not much to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part. I mean, Vanessa Demopoulos, kind of a striker versus grappler matchup here, right? Where Vanessa, she has won some jiu-jitsu competition. She's a good no-gi grappler. She won the LFA title with that inverted triangle where she choked out Sam Hughes, who fought in the UFC. Didn't do very well, but, UFC level girl, I guess. And Juarez, she obviously to me, she's fought more lower level girls in terms of the girls she's beat, but she fought, I think, like Ariane Lipsky and a couple other chicks. But I'm gonna go with Vanessa as well. I feel like with this fight, Silvana, she's getting up there in age, man. She's 37 years old at this point, and I feel like her cardio in her last fight really was not very good. Even though she got finished early, I feel like after the first takedown, she was really tired. And Vanessa, I mean, she's not very skilled anywhere. She has really bad striking. Her wrestling is not very good at all, but she has that good submission game and she has the ability to take damage and press forward and she has good cardio. So kind of think that's all she's going to need. I think that, she's either going to pull guard and get a submission off her back or somehow get on top and get the finish. I think that if I had to make a bet on this fight, I would probably bet on Demopolis doing inside the distance. I feel like it's like plus 300, plus 250 odds. And most of her wins are inside the distance finishes for Demopolis. She's kind of like opportunistic type of finisher. Gomez could go out there and get kind of like a point fight decision win with her striking. But, with those odds, it's only like she's like a pretty close underdog, like plus 120, I think, or something like that. So I would just take Vanessa inside the distance and see what happens. But, who knows? I don't really know with that fight. Like, you can't really be super confident on either side to me. But, yeah, I mean, kind of what I see there. And this next one, Tony Gravely versus Simon Oliveira. What are your thoughts on this fight here?
So Simon was also on the Dana White Contender Series like the previous guys, but he's very good jiu-jitsu. He's kind of got a wild stand-up, and it leads to not having good defense. And then Tony Gravely, he likes to have pressure, and he's honestly kind of the same fighter as Simon. I definitely wouldn't bet this fight, but I mean, if I'm making a pick, I'm going with Gravely just because of experience, but that line is definitely too wide. I could definitely see Oliveira winning this one, but I just haven't seen enough of Oliveira, and he hasn't fought the level of competition Gravely has fought yet, so I'm just going to watch this and hope for the best for both of them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this fight to me, it's like kind of like I don't know. It's like the matchmaker's kind of playing a trick on you, right? Because he has Tony Gravely here, who's like, he looks good when you watch his fights. Like it's like he's one of these guys where he's always winning until he loses the fight. He'll get submitted or get knocked out. Like, and the Nate Benitez fight, his last fight, he almost knocks the guy out at the end of the first round. I mean, if there was like 10 more seconds, he probably would have got the win, and then he ends up getting knocked out in the second round. So Gravely is one of these guys that's like really athletic. He's fast on the feet. Like you said, he's kind of wild. Both the guys have kind of wild striking, but I think Gravely definitely is the significantly better wrestler. I mean, he has pretty good wrestling skills. He wrestled in college, and he gets a lot of takedowns on guys, but has a tendency to kind of wrestle, get tired, and then get submitted. And that's kind of why I said it's kind of like it's a trick fight, because Oliveira has a lot of guillotine wins and he has a lot of submission wins. So it's going to be one of these fights where you bet on Tony Gravely at like a minus 300 number, and he's winning the whole time. And then, he gets caught in a submission and you lose your bet, lose your money. So I agree. I mean, I would totally stay away from this fight. I think Oliveira, I don't know if he's like a UFC level guy, but I think he can maybe just get some wins because he's wild and he can kind of get some opportunistic finishes. So I would definitely kind of stay away from this fight, but I'm going to pick Gravely too. I just think that Oliveira, he doesn't really have good wrestling defense, and he's not that good off his back. I mean, if he gets the guillotine, then he's going to get the submission. But I think if Gravely actually gets him to the ground, he'll be able to control him there. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Gravely, but fight I kind of want to stay away from for sure. Betting wise, I'm just not, that invested on either side. But this next fight, man, I'm actually pretty excited for this fight. We got Jack Della Madeleine. He's going to be taking on Pete Rodriguez. And these are two guys that like to go in there and go to war. So I think there's going to be either a finish or, a 3-round war in this fight. So did you look into either one of these guys, and what do you kind of think about the matchup? Yo, you're muted. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, I've been watching on Instagram, and Dana's been hyping up Jack quite a bit, and we've seen with new fighters like that usually Dana gives them fighter that they usually can beat. And at this price tag, I feel like it's pretty. I feel like it should. It's what it should be. Jack is, he's very tough, strong. He's very good stand up and defense, and he's got that UFC hype that we see these young fighters and that these young fighters get and usually pull through with. Pete Rodriguez, he's a little bit smaller, and he's probably pretty tough, but I feel like Jack beats him at pretty much every edge of this fight, and I could see Jack by decision here. And I feel like that would be a pretty valid bet.
Yeah, with this fight, man, like you said, I'm pretty excited for this fight because Pete Rodriguez, I mean, usually don't see like a 4-0 guy in the UFC. But when you watch his fights, I mean, the guy's fun to watch, man. He goes in there, he stands in the middle, and has huge power. He throws nice combos. And he's gotten all of his wins, amateur and pro wins. I think like 11 total, all first round knockouts. So you know what he wants to go out there and try to do. You know he wants to sit in the middle, trade with you, and he's a Mexican, so he has a great chin and he's durable, and he could sit there and take the punishment and knock you out eventually. He's pretty big for the division, but he has not really, like I said, he's not had a lot of experience in long fights. And 4-0 coming to the UFC, I just think it's not enough experience. Jack Della, he also doesn't have a ton of experience, but he has triple the amount of fights. And even though he hasn't fought a great level of competition, I think it's better than Rodriguez's. I think Madeleine is a little bit, better on the feet in terms of he could mix it up with the kicks a little bit more. I think pure boxing, I would favor Rodriguez. But, yeah, this is one of these fights that I actually think Pete Rodriguez has the value side, actually. I feel like, with Madalena, he has the grappling edge, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it to the ground. It doesn't seem like he's necessarily a high-level wrestler. But I'm going to bank on him. He's a tough guy, too. He's from Australia. They're really tough notoriously as well. And I feel like with him, he has that experience in the longer fights, like I said. So I think early on he might get hurt a couple times, maybe even get dropped or something. But I think that he'll be able to weather the storm and then kind of take over on Pete Rodriguez. And whether it's a decision win or a finish, I think that Jack Della will get it done. But I'm excited to see Pete Rodriguez continue in the UFC too. And I think Jack Della is going to be good as well. So, when I'm looking at the line, I would, personally bet on Pete Rodriguez at almost plus 300 odds. But I'm probably just going to stay off this fight. I think that, it's an interesting fight, though. I think that they're kind of trying to get Jack Della the win. They were going to have him fight Warley Alves. So he is coming here off a camp where he was going to fight like a pretty high-level UFC guy. So that's another advantage he has here. Rodriguez is coming in on short notice. So I think Jack Della will get the win. And, if you could bet him by decision, I don't know what the odds are on that. But, if you can get decent odds on that, I don't think that's the worst bet in the world, because I know a lot of people think this fight is going to, end inside the distance. But Rodriguez is undefeated as a pro. And, he has a good chin. He's pretty tough, and maybe he will be able to kind of survive until the end of the fight. So maybe not the worst play in the world with that one. But, yeah, that's a pretty good fight. I think it'll be a banger for sure. And we got Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles in the next one. I mean, to me, this fight's really tough to predict, honestly. I mean, Morales looks like a really good athlete, but not really that proven. So what do you think about with Trevin Giles versus Morales? You think Trevin Giles will be able to use his experience and get the win, or do you think that Michael's going to come in here and use that athleticism and get the knockout?
Yeah, I'm actually going with the dog here. I think Trevin Giles' experience will get him the win here. I think he'll catch him with a second-round knockout. Morales really didn't impress me with all his fights that I've seen. He's your basic kickboxer, and he's got decent grappling, but Trevin Giles is kind of a dog, and he's very athletic. I could see him catching the chin of Morales, and I know Morales is undefeated right now, but he really hasn't fought anyone that good. And Giles has kind of seen, he's beat Roman Dolidze. He was supposed to be one of the come-ups of the UFC. Devin Lewis is good. He lost to Gerald Mearshart. But I feel like he's gonna catch Morales with the second round knockout or late round knockout for sure. Um,
Yeah, this is a
Morales,
fight. Or go ahead, my bad.
no, you're good. I just feel like Morales doesn't really have much to offer for Giles that Giles hasn't seen yet. So if you're, especially if Giles is he's an underdog here, I just don't see. I feel like it should be the opposite. I feel like Giles should be a slight favorite here. And I mean, I wouldn't bet this, but I mean, Giles should definitely. I think Giles is a valid bet if you're going to do something with this fight. But it should be a good one. If Morales wins, he could have an upcoming shot at making UFC run for the title. But he's pretty young, so we'll see.
Yeah, Dirty Reg, he has a good comment here where he said, I switched from Giles to Morales. I can't get how Giles crapped the bed on me in his last fight. And that is something that you get with Trevin Giles, man. It seems like all of his losses, like when he fought Mearshart back in the day and he fought who was the other guy he fought where he got submitted in the third round in two different fights. But then his last fight, he was doing well against Dricus Du Plessis.
Mearshart.
Yeah, Mearshart. And then there was one other one where he got submitted to them in the third round. Yeah, Zach Cummings, yeah. And but yeah, so it's like this guy, it's like he has a tendency to slow down in fights. And that's the only thing I'm worried about because Morales, it seemed like he had a good gas tank in his last fight, even though he hasn't been pushing that many fights. He was wrestling in the third round. And I just don't want to see Giles, get caught with a big shot, get knocked out, and you lose your money. But he's going down to 170 for this fight, so that's something that I kind of want to see as well. Like I want to see him on the scales, how he looks, because he's fought at 205. I mean, he's a pretty big guy to be dropping all the way down to 170. So, if he makes the weight and looks good, looks big, maybe, you'll be a decent bet. Because I do think Morales, obviously he's good and he has a lot of potential. I think the guy's like 21 or 22 years old and he has a 79-inch reach. He's super fast. Seems like he has decent wrestling. So if he could put it all together, he could potentially be a beast. But I think he's training at Entrim for this fight, Entrim Gym, which that's a good look for him because they have Brandon Moreno. They have a lot of probably the best gym in Mexico, maybe the best gym in the entire South America. So it's good that he's getting some training with them in. I'm sure it'll help his skill set. But, man, I mean, like you said, when you look at the level of competition that Trevin Giles fought versus Morales, I mean, it's night and day. Morales really has only fought one guy that is even a credible fighter, which was his last fight. And you got to think that experience is going to put Trevin Giles over the top in this fight. But it is a pick 'em line because, like I said, there's something a little bit tantalizing about Morales, where it's like you see the intangibles with him, like the long reach, the athleticism, being really young, and maybe some people could see him, coming in here and blasting through Trevin Giles and trying to move up the rankings. But you could also see him, coming in here and being a bit of a hype train. So it could go either way. And I'm going to go with Trevin Giles too. So it's a hard fight to predict, though, in my opinion. It really is. I wouldn't be super confident on Trevin Giles, but yeah, I don't know. Just kind of feel like Morales is one of these guys that could potentially turn up in the UFC, but we got to see what happens there. And yeah, shout out to some people in the chat. I saw Jimmy the Drunk. He said if Pete can get the KO, they should book him versus Worley next. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Worley Alves. I know Jimmy the Drunk is a big fan of Worley. So, and then yeah, Moreno's team got 4 fighters fighting, and I think they'll all win. Trying to think. So they got Morales. Who else do they have that's on this card here? They got
they got that Dana White Contender Series dude.
Valdez.
Valdez, yep.
Yeah. And then I think Gomez Juarez trains there too. And then yeah, Moreno. So yeah, they got some fighters on this card for sure. And like I said, that's a good gym. It's an up and coming gym. So maybe those guys, if you parlay them together, you could make some money. But I'm actually picking against a couple of them here early on. But yeah, so this next fight here, we got Raoni Barcelos taking on Victor Henry. They rebooked this fight. It was supposed to happen a few weeks ago. I know that I'm pretty sure there was someone else that I can't remember who Barcelos was originally supposed to fight, but Henry stepped in and then something happened with that, so they just rebooked it for this date. But I'm actually a fan of Ione Barcelos. I really like how he fights. I was disappointed in his last fight because I felt like he was clearly better than Timur Valiev, but Valiev has that kind of like Frankie Edgar style where he trains with him and he throws a lot of volume and kind of like is a good point fighter. And he was able to point his way to the win over Ione, where, I think Ione is the better fighter. But, at the end of the day, Barcelos is getting a little bit older, man. So I hope he kind of can start picking it up and get towards the top of that division. But I think the guy has all the skills. I think he's a really good striker. He has good boxing, pretty athletic, good volume. I think his wrestling is pretty good, and he's obviously a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So I just think with Barcelos, he needs to up the volume a little bit more and just do what he does. And with this fight with Victor Henry, he's going to get a guy that is going to push the pace, man. I mean, Henry's a dog. He's the guy that comes forward and really tries to make kind of a gritty fight. So I think that's going to play more into Ione's strengths because I think that he's going to force Ione to let go with the striking. I think he's going to maybe walk into a couple takedowns, and I actually think Ione's going to take his back and choke him out. So Henry, he is a veteran. He's trained with Josh Barnett, and he fought all over the world, things like that. And he's a pretty good grappler, but I just think Ione is on another level here, and it's a tough fight to make your UFC debut. So I think Ione, Victor Henry's never been submitted or never been finished in his career, but if you can get him to win by submission, I'm going to try to find that price right here at plus 425, Barcelos by submission. I don't think that's the worst play in the world there. And, I think it's a fun fight. Hopefully Barcelos will show up. But what do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I got Barcelos. It's kind of weird. I'm pretty confident in Barcelos winning, but I'm not sure quite how. This is, Victor Henry's pretty old himself. He's 34 years old, just like Barcelos. So he's going to come out here and try to make a statement. Barcelos, I mean, he's beaten, Saeed Nurmagomedov. But that who we're going to talk about later. But yeah, he lost to Timur Valiev, and I don't know. I feel like Barcelos is just going to beat him on the feet, and I think he's going to make a couple takedowns here and there and just going to get the decision. So.
Yeah, Victor is a guy, he's never been finished, so that's definitely, I think that could happen as well. I mean, but I just feel like Henry, with his style, he really walks onto a lot of damage, and I think, like you said, in this fight, he is going to be wanting to make a statement, like you said, being a little bit older. So I think he's going to really try to go for the finish, and I think it's going to get him in some trouble. But this next fight, it's another short notice fight. We got Ilia Topuria. He's going to be taking on Charles Jourdain. And Charles Jourdain, he stepped up here. I was kind of disappointed because I was excited to see Ilia take on Movsar Evloev. I think that would have been a sick fight. Movsar is obviously undefeated as well. But Charles Jourdain, he's always fun to watch. He comes out there and has a fun style, and he's taking this fight on short notice. So, what's your thoughts on this fight in terms of Ilia and Charles?
Yeah, Ilia is my most confident pick on the card. Charles is pretty good stand-up, but Ilia is going to eat him up on the floor, and I feel like Ilia is going to do whatever he wants with him. He's a pretty tough dude. I got him in a parlay with a guy we're going to talk about later. But I think Toporia is going to get him with ground and pound in the first round. So Charles really doesn't have much to offer. I think it was a really dumb decision to take this fight on too quick of notice for him. And yeah, I don't know. I think the line is pretty even. Minus 600 is what my bookie says. So. Yeah, I don't see how Charles Jourdain can really win this fight. He's got to catch Ilia with something that he hasn't seen before, and I'm pretty confident Ilia. I feel like Ilia can make a run at the title, and he's going to be something we're going to watch for a while at the featherweight division. So, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like Charles. I mean, he has some paths to victory because you have to respect the guy, like, because he definitely is a risk taker there. I mean, you see him throwing flying knees, spinning shit, and things like
Yeah.
that. And I have seen on a regional scene fight Ilya get dropped with a head kick. So Jourdain, he's definitely a good kicker, but Charles Jourdain, I feel like, he struggles against pressure fighters. We saw that in his fight with Charles Rosa and, or not Charles Rosa, Julian Rosa. And I feel like Ilya is just way levels above that in the boxing with his forward pressure, cutting the cage off. And if he struggled with a Rosa, I just feel like Ilya's going to be able to walk him down, hit him with some good boxing combos. And I feel like he's either going to get him out of there on the feet. Jourdain is really tough, but we have seen him get hurt in fights like when he fought Doohoo Choi and things like that. So I think Ilya could get him out of there with strikes, or he could, get the takedown, and I think he'll have a big advantage on the ground. One thing, Charles, I think he does have a underrated submission game because he is a brown belt, and you do see him throwing up some submissions. But Toporia is a black belt. He has a lot of submission wins, and I don't see him getting caught here by Charles Jourdain on the ground. I think he could dominate there. Charles, he's in a no lose situation with this fight. I mean, if he loses, it's not really a big deal, I don't think. But yeah, I think that Charles is going to be able to come in here and maybe do something early, like maybe make it a little bit kind of interesting. But I think ultimately Ilya is going to just kind of mow through him. And I think he's going to get the first round finish as well. So I think Ilya is going to be able to just do what he wants in there. And yeah, Jimmy the Drunk said if Ilya takes minimal damage, they need to rebook that Evloev fight. And
Mhm.
yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. I know that Ilya this week was kind of talking shit about him too, so they're building that fight up. But yeah, I mean, maybe if Ilya, I wouldn't be surprised if he got like a highlight reel finish here or got a first round knockout. I wouldn't be shocked if they gave him, a ranked guy or someone in the top 5, top 10. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Charles, okay, he got a 4-fight contract too for taking the fight. So that's good as well. I'm excited. Anytime Charles Jourdain fights, I'll definitely tune in. So, I'm not mad that he got re-signed by the UFC for sure. But moving on to the main card now, and some of these fights on the main card, I don't know if, what do you guys think of the chat? Would you guys pay for these? You think they're pay-per-view worthy fights, like the Wellington Turman versus Rodolfo Vieira fight? But we got two grapplers here. Kind of take it away. What do you think about Rodolfo versus Wellington Turman?
Yeah, I mean, Vieira really disappointed me in his UFC debut. Um, he lost to Fluffy, but I feel like that really helped him and helped him in his, advancement to become a UFC champion because he definitely is probably the best grappler slash jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC. And Wellington, he's actually very good defensively. He's a jiu-jitsu guy himself. He's probably better than Vieira in boxing and kickboxing, but I feel like Vieira is going to play it safe here and probably get a second round submission. Um, I don't know. I feel like when you see two guys that are in the same category, we see Wellington Turman, who's also a jiu-jitsu guy, Vieira's high level jiu-jitsu guy. We see the guy that's better take over, and you can't pass up Vieira here. I just see him submitting Wellington Turman here. I don't know. Unless Vieira or Wellington Turman can stuff all the takedowns and keep it at a distance and somehow catch the clean knockout, I just don't see Wellington Turman win this fight. I don't know. How do you feel?
The only thing you got to worry about really with Adolfo in most of his fights is the gas tank, right? I mean, like you said, that
Yeah.
Fluffy Hernandez fight, he gassed out, and that's kind of why he got finished. So with Wellington Turman, I mean, the one thing you could say about Wellington is he trains with Glover Teixeira, and he definitely comes in shape. Like his last fight with Sam Alvey in the third round, he was pushing the pace and being aggressive. So if Vieira does, go out there and he's dominating, let's say he gets the takedown or takes the back and almost gets the submission or something like that, but Wellington gets back up to his feet, that's where I'd be a little bit nervous, if I was back in Vieira, maybe see him start to get a little bit tired. But yeah, I think just on paper, we got two guys that like to, wrestle, get it to the ground. I think Turman on the feet maybe has a little bit more variation. Like he throws kicks and stuff, like body kicks, head kicks. But I like Rodolfo's jab. He has good basics on the feet, pretty good footwork. And I feel like he's a little bit less stiff. I think he'll be able to kind of stick and move on the feet a little bit and then hit some takedowns. But, yeah, I mean, with this fight, I just can't bet on it personally just because the number. I mean, we got Vieira. He's a 2-1 favorite. And I know he came back and he did pick up the decision win over Dustin Stolfus, but I kind of want to see him kind of win a few in a row, go a little bit longer and kind of show that in tough fights, he can keep going. He's not going to fall off a cliff and get finished, So I think that Turman is live in a way because, he obviously is tough. He has that jiu-jitsu background, so he's going to be fairly hard to submit. And if he can weather the storm, maybe he could pick it up down the stretch. But I'm going to go with Vieira by decision in this one. I think he could get a submission win, but I don't think Wellington has ever been submitted before. I could be wrong about that. I know he got knocked out a couple times.
No, he hasn't been submitted.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I feel like Vieira might just be able to maybe control him for a couple rounds, and then that third round could maybe be like a little bit dicey, but he still picks up the win. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like, Vieira, if you want to put him in a parlay, I think he's maybe one of the more safer picks on the main card, but I'm personally not going to have any action on him there. But this next fight, Cody Stamen versus Saeed Nurmagomedov, this is another pay-per-view fight where I feel like maybe it should be like a prelim type of fight. But we got Cody Stamen, who's kind of been around. He's in the top 15, established type of guy. And Saeed, he's looking to take his spot here and, see what happens, see if he can jump into the rankings and make a name for himself. So, Cody Stamen, we got the wrestler. Saeed, he's a striker. Who do you think is going to implement their game plan here?
Yeah, I always got to lean towards the grappler. I think this is going to be the most boring fight of the card, honestly. Personally, I got Cody Stamen by decision. I think he's going to take Nurmagomedov down at ease, and I think he's just going to look good in the judges' scorecards, and I think he'll pull out the decision. But if he can't get him down, obviously Nurmagomedov is going to get the win here, and he could honestly get the knockout. But it's hard to bet against Stamen because he's a very good grappler. He's actually one of the best grapplers in that bantamweight division, even though his record doesn't say so. But I got Stamen by decision. And going back to Vieira, honestly, he's been to the third round quite a few times, and I could see him. I feel like that first fight in the UFC, he was trying to make a statement, being the best black belt jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC has ever seen, and I feel like he's calmed down, and I feel like he actually has a decent gas tank, and I feel like we're gonna really see the best of Rodolfo Vieira. But going back to Stamen, I know I'm going off track, but
no way.
Yeah, but Stamen, I feel like Stamen by decision at plus 175 is clearly a good spot, and I actually betted Cody Stamen here. Even Cody Stamen by decision, because I don't see Cody Stamen knocking out Nurmagomedov, and I don't see him submitting him either. I think Cody Stamen by decision is a pretty good bet. So,
yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you. I actually picked Saeed to win the fight just as a pick, but if I had to bet it, I definitely would lean more towards the Cody Stamen side because just on top of Saeed just not really having that high-level experience, he's fought a couple good guys. Obviously, he had the loss to Raoni Barcelos, and then, his last fight, he didn't really fight any other good guys in the UFC. He fought that Mark Striegel. He finished him really quickly. I guess Ricardo Ramos, that's a decent win there. He got the quick knockout. But, yeah, I mean, it's basically like Saeed, he has trouble with some grapplers in his career. He struggled with Barcelos. He got taken down a few times in that fight. He lost to Magomed Bibulatov where he was taken down. And Cody Stamen, I mean, he's going to go in there and shoot the takedowns, try to get him to the ground and just smother him. make the fight boring, like you said. So I think he definitely could do that. He has a lot of experience and he's a superior grappler for sure, better wrestler. But I think Saeed, he has a lot of long range attacks, has a big reach advantage and height advantage. And I just feel like he might be able to move around and just kind of outpoint Stamen and win a close decision. But yeah, I agree. I mean, if I was going to bet on it, I would pick Stamen as the bet. I feel like it's dog or pass on the money line. And I do feel like when you're looking at that fight, I don't know what I'm about to look right now, but they got the fight goes to decision at minus 260. I feel like that's a decent parlay piece because Cody Stamen, the guy's super durable, man. He's going to be hard to knock out. Don't really see him getting submitted by Saeed. And Cody isn't a good finisher as well. So I feel like that fight's going to go to decision more than likely. So, minus 260, I think those odds are fairly decent, for a parlay or something like that. But we got this next fight on the – go ahead, my bad.
No, I said totally agree. I don't think either guy are going to face each other. So
Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised. I don't think Cody has any finishes in the UFC. I know he got submitted by Aljo, but – obviously Aljo's like a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. So,
yeah.
But, we got Michel Pereira. He's going to be taking on Andre Fiallo, who is coming in here on short notice. It's going to be his UFC debut. So, Fiallo, I mean, he does have experience. Like he fought in PFL, World Series of Fighting. He fought in Bellator. But to jump in here and, fight on the main card of a pay-per-view in your UFC debut, that's a lot of definitely a lot to take in. So, I mean, he's going to be taking on a guy probably that he's never fought, someone that he's never fought that fights like that in his career either with Pereira. So, I mean, how do you see this fight going down? And you think Fiallo has a chance here? I mean, he did recently beat Stefan Sekulic. He has a win over James Vick. So, yeah, but I mean, this is kind of a different level guy here with Michel Pereira.
Yeah, I'm a big Michel Pereira fan. He's very entertaining. He's got to be one of the most athletic fighters in the UFC. Like, the guy does backflips off the weigh-ins. Like, he's entertaining. He's got grappling. He's got stand-up. Andre Fiallo, he's not a joke either, though. He's fought in the Bellator, LFA, quite a few divisions. He's beat James Vick. He lost to Chris Curtis. But, I got Michel Pereira by first round knockout. I feel like his athleticism and just activity is just going to get him the knockout. I don't think Andre Fiallo has really ever seen anything like Michel Pereira. And I feel the thing with Michel Pereira, I mean, everyone knows this, but you got to watch him when he walks up to the fight. If he's dancing around acting like an idiot, you probably don't want to bet him because, believe it or not, it's going to waste your gas, and he's going to get tired in the third round if he can't get that first or second round knockout. But if he's focused and really determined, it's going to be a quick night for Andre.
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of the difference with Michel in his recent fights, right? It seems like his fight IQ has kind of jumped up. Like, he's like, if you watched it, I mean, he got the quick knockout against Danny Roberts where he was being real wild. And then obviously before he came to the UFC, he had some crazy fights. But recently, I mean, he's still wild and does some cool shit, but much more composed and kind of fights a lot smarter in his last few fights. So I like to see that. And with this fight, I feel like he's going to show respect to Fiallo because Fiallo is a knockout puncher. I mean, you see him with that left hook. I mean, when he lands that left hook on guys, they're kind of in la-la land. I mean, he definitely is a guy that has some knockout power. And with Michel, he's one of these guys where I agree. I think he's either going to be a guy that gets first-round finishes or decisions because he's slows down after that first round. He's not as explosive. And he does kind of have he has those explosive techniques like the flying knees and the spinning attacks, but he has kind of a point fighting style to me where he likes to kind of use a lot of those feints and fakes and move around, and then he touches you a little bit and kind of, gets you frustrated, and then he can find the knockout with like a big shot. But I don't think he has like huge hand power. And he's huge for 170, man. Like Jimmy the Drunk said, he doesn't know how he makes 170. I agree. I mean, the guy's massive. And recently he's been, when he gets tired, because he gets tired, he's been able to get takedowns and he's been able to hold guys down and kind of slow down the fight. And with Fiallo, he's another one of these guys that has gas tank issues. So I don't necessarily feel like he's going to push like a high pace, especially coming in on short notice. So I either think, like you said, I think Pereira's either going to catch him with like some really flashy shit in the first round and knock him out like with a wild technique, or I think it'll be like a decision win where Pereira wins maybe like 30-27, or maybe Fiallo could win that third round, but where he's just kind of controlling the distance and beating him up with kicks and like his recent fights, like where he fought Zalimi Madaev and his last fight where he won the decision against Nico Price, or he's kind of just trying to stick and move and kind of avoid that big power. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't really know how that fight's going to go. I kind of feel like it's either going to be that first round type of finish, like you said, or it could go to a decision. So I think Fiallo has an outside chance of a knockout too. I mean, you could never count him out because he has like, I think 14 wins, 11 knockouts, and he's knocked out some good guys. So he could catch him with a big shot, but, kind of as a puncher's chance type of fight there, I feel like. And, with the line minus 270 for Pereira, I feel like when you look at the favorites on this card, he's one of the favorites that I'm more confident in winning. So personally, I think Pereira, maybe you could throw him in a couple parlays, but I don't know if I'm going to personally have any bets on him here. But now we're getting into the co-main event, the main event. We got the 2 title fights. So, yeah, man, this is the first one. It's a trilogy. They're fighting like for the third time in a little over a year. So they're definitely aware of each other, how they fight, everything like that. And, yeah, I mean, what did you just think about I know you said you watched the press conference a little bit. I mean, what did you think about Davison trying so hard to make kind of like a personal beef? And it seemed like Brandon was laughing him off a little bit. I feel like Brandon he has a good mentality, but I don't know if Diva said last time that didn't work for him, but it's hard to kind of get a read on Davison for me, mentally. Like in the chat too, what did you guys think about the press conference and kind of how Davison's been going on throughout the whole build up of the fight? But yeah, man, just give kind of your breakdown of the whole fight. What do you think about this whole thing, him going with Henry Cejudo and, kind of the whole craziness?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to you earlier. I think Davison Figuereto is trying to get any little advantage he can. I mean, he's training with Henry Cejudo. I mean, Henry's trying to get his way back into the UFC again. I don't think Henry really cares about either fighter. I went back and forth on these guys. I think the line is where it should be. And I watched both fights. The first fight between Brandon Moreno, where they draw, and I've watched the second fight where Brandon submitted him in the second round. But I really think Brandon Moreno is a clear favorite here. I'm very confident in him. If the only way I could see Davison Figueredo winning is if he plays it at a distance and somehow just wins on the judges' scorecards. You're not going to knock out Moreno. He's a Mexican fighter. He's got a hard chin. You can't submit him. You can't knock him out. But I feel like Moreno is just too tough for Figueredo, and I just see this going in Moreno's hands. I think Moreno could honestly win this either way. He could win knockout, submission, or decision. I'm just pretty confident in Moreno here. Even watching the press conference, I wasn't very impressed with Figueredo. I just feel like he's trying to get an advantage, but he just didn't get it. Like, I don't know how you felt when you watched it, but
yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like his trash talk is super cringy, but it's hard to tell because it's like they have the language barrier, so it's getting translated. Like maybe if you like speak Portuguese, like you're like, oh shit, like he's like saying it's a real like slick shit, but like when you're listening to it, he's like kind of like you could tell it's rehearsed and it's not really Davison. Like even Moreno was saying he's reading off of his phone, like he was reading it off of his phone, what he was gonna say. So it's like he clearly is kind of getting. I think that's Eric Albarracin. I feel like that guy. He did it with Henry too, with the King of Cringe, and even Paulo Costa kind of has like a little bit of a persona type thing now. And I think he likes to. I mean, it's smart because he does. It is marketing in a way. Like we're talking about it, and it brings his fighters out in the spotlight, but it also kind of gives them like. Some people don't like it. They get heat some ways, but then some people do like Henry and his whole thing, and Davison, I feel like he's not he's not that good at it, but he's trying the whole gimmick and all that. But just when I look at the fight, it's kind of weird because like the first two times I picked Davison to win, and then like you said, I'm kind of pretty confident that Moreno's going to win the third fight, which is kind of weird. But it's because when you watch the first fight, I feel like Moreno really showed a lot of respect to Figueredo in terms of he was backing up a lot. It seemed like he didn't want to get hit. And then in the second fight, he was way more confident. Like he was controlling the center more and being like a lot more aggressive. So I think that he kind of just realized that Figueredo's power isn't as overwhelming as he thought. He could take his punches and kind of stay in the pocket. And he's a little bit sharper with his boxing, I feel like. I think he's a little bit better with the straight punches. Figueredo throws a lot of hooks. And then, he's able to take him down too. I mean, I feel like Figueredo, honestly, I think that he might come in here and try to take Brandon Moreno down because we saw him get a couple takedowns in their first two fights. And then just because I saw Weili Zhang too, when you watch her fight, when she fought Rose the second time, when she went to go train with Henry and all those guys, she was really wrestling heavy. She tried to get a lot of takedowns. And obviously Henry and Eric, they're wrestling-based guys. So I wouldn't be shocked if he comes in here and kind of tries to maybe like chop at Brandon's legs and then take him down and slow him down and try to make it more of like a pocket fight in the later rounds. But I just think Brandon's going to be, able to get back up if he gets taken down, be a little bit better on the feet. And he always has that cardio edge over Figueredo, man. Figueredo's a big guy. He cuts a lot of weight. And he slows down in his fights. So I feel like down the stretch definitely favors Moreno. And I think he's going to get another, late round finish, third, fourth round. Like I said, I wouldn't be, I don't know if it's going to be a submission or a KO, but I think it could be either one. But you can't really count out Figueredo too much because the guy definitely has killer instinct. I mean, he can jump on the neck. He has one of the best guillotines in the UFC, and he probably – I don't know if you could think of another guy, but I think he probably has the biggest power of any flyweight in UFC history. I mean, maybe John Dodson or something, but I feel like he might be that guy there. But, we got Tony Sao having fake second-round knockout. I mean, like I said, he definitely if Figueredo wins, I think it'll either be like a close decision like the first fight or he could catch him and knock him out for sure. I mean, Moreno, though, never been finished, and he's proven through the first two fights that he could take the power. So,
Let me go back to you. How does Figueredo, when he wins fights, how does he win them? By finish, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Like Moreno, you cannot submit him, and he doesn't get knocked out much. And I don't know. If you watch both the fights, Moreno, he looked pretty tense in his first fight, and then in the second fight, he looked like he was going forward towards Figueredo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like in this third fight, he might be a little too overconfident, but I don't know. I don't think Figueredo's only path to win here is by knockout or submission.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that the first fight, Figueredo would have won the decision, though, if he didn't get the point deducted, where it was the draw. So he did kind of win a decision once against Brandon, technically. But like we both said, I feel like Brandon in that fight was kind of worried about the power.
But Moreno's confidence is way up here now. He can walk forward. And if you watch both the fights, Moreno wins all the inside conflicts. Like, he'll take Figueredo down at will. Like, anytime they're in the clinch, Moreno's going to win. Like, it's weird. Figueredo looks a lot bigger and stronger, but Moreno's a little bit better. I don't know how, but he just takes him down and does what he wants. And I don't know. I just feel like Moreno at that price tag is a good bet. And Figueredo's really, I feel like Figueredo's only path to win is just stay at distance, point box, kick the legs, and just win on the judges' scorecards. I don't think he should not waste his energy trying to take out Moreno with anything. Like, if he does that, I feel like Figueredo could win. But if he tries to get inside, Moreno's going to win easily.
And what do you think about like let's say Figueredo does win. Would you do the fourth fight? Would you book that, or would you kind of give him another
Oh,
matchup?
I mean, I would definitely give that because the only other guy that you can really give that title shot is Kaikar of France, and I think Figueredo is a bigger draw than that. So I'm
Yeah, I
gonna.
feel like they would do that fourth one again if Figueredo
Oh
won, but
yeah,
I do think I feel like if Figueredo loses, I think he'll go to 135. I kind of feel like he will.
yeah,
But yeah, that'd be a big loss. Like definitely feel like, if you're just looking at it like career wise, I think Figueredo needs the win more. I mean, he's getting old now. He's 34. So for flyweight, 34 is really pretty old. I mean, he's
yeah.
getting up there. So yeah, I mean, definitely a beast, but I think that weight cut and everything's getting to him too, with the age. So, yeah, I agree. I think Moreno is going to be able to get it done. But yeah, it seems like some people in the chat, they're on Figueredo. And, it's hard to kind of discount him totally because you've seen him, his last 5 fights in a row, I believe, have all been title fights. He got the 2 crazy finishes against Joe B. And then, had the one war with Moreno too. So, going to be a good one. It's trilogy for a reason. But getting on to the main event here, I actually thought these two guys actually. This is like the most I ever heard them both talk and like talk shit back and forth to someone in a fight. They were like, it wasn't like Cyril. He's still talking like Sarah's like that shit talk where it's like it's respectful shit talk. He's not like going to say anything like too bad, but yeah, like Francis definitely seemed like he was getting a little bit irritated, and Cyril was. They were going back and forth for sure. They definitely have some heat coming into this fight. Like I think Francis is trying to like totally distance himself from Ferdinand. He said they're not training partners and all that. So I think that I think the beef with the coach is really what it is. But Cyril's obviously a little bit in the middle of it, and then he's saying that he knocked Cyril out with a left high kick, and they were arguing about that. So I don't know, but I mean, with Francis, I mean, definitely feel like the guy, he's the underdog, and when you see him as an underdog, to me, like against anyone, it's kind of hard to look away from that because all you need is 1 second to cash your bet. But Cyril, he's definitely a different animal. He looks like one of the best heavyweights of all time too. So, what do you think about this main event? Definitely, going to be one of the biggest fights of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I went both back and forth on both these guys. I really see one clear path to victory for Francis. But I don't like with his last few fights, like he's been more patient and he's been fighting more like Cyril Gane, and I feel like that's gonna work against him in this fight. Like if Francis wants to win his fight, he's got to be very aggressive and rush forward. Like when a while back, I said Cyril Gane will probably be the UFC heavyweight champ, and I feel like the only way you can beat Cyril Gane is if you rush forward and catch him with a clean hook. Like I don't feel like you can really beat Cyril Gane with point boxing or kickboxing or grappling or anything like that. He's pretty good everywhere. The only way you can catch him is he's never really been chin tested, and I feel like Francis Ngannou can really test him. And if Francis catches him on the chin, he could definitely knock him out. We all know that, but I feel like with his new fighting style, I don't know if he's going to implement that. He's really, I don't know. He's trying to fight like Cyril Gane, and my really bold bet here is, I feel like everyone thinks Cyril Gane's just going to point box him, but I really think Cyril Gane's going to get him by submission. And I
Really?
think, yeah, oh yeah, plus 1,000 by submission. Hook me up, because
Man.
everyone forgets Cyril Gane is well rounded and he's got a couple submissions on his record. For instance, Ngannou's really never been tested on the ground, and I think Cyril Gane can definitely take him down and get a rear naked choke or armbar or something like that. But I don't really think, the only way Ngannou can really win, like I said before, is if he rushes forward like Jorinzo Rosenstrike or someone like that and catch him on the chin, because Gane, if you watch I've been a big fan of Gane all his time he's been fighting, and he's really never been into a real dogfight. And I just don't think if Francis Ngannou really brings the fight to him, he could win it. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to do that. He's trying to be the better man and try to improve his MMA status and try to be the overall fighter. But I just think Cyril Gane's going to win by submission here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know. This fight, it's like I was caught. Like I don't. It's just like hard for me to be confident on any guy going against Francis Ngannou, and I see a lot of people like they have supreme confidence in Cyril Gane. I mean, and I actually said like if you go back and you watch the very first fight Cyril Gane had in the UFC, I can't remember exactly who he was fighting against, but I even said in my breakdown that I think he was going to be UFC champion, and he was like 3-0 at that point. So I definitely been on Cyril Gane. I really like his style. Obviously, he's probably the best mover, heavyweight in UFC history. But man, I mean, we've never really, like you said, I've never seen him get like clipped on the chin hard. I've never seen him get totally tested in like a rough fight. I don't know how good his chin is. Honestly, it's like, man, with Francis, it's hard, man. I know too. Like I noticed that Cyril, he does have a tendency to when guys blitz him, he likes to shoot for that single leg. So maybe he could get hit with an uppercut or something like that. But just when you're looking at both these guys, technically, I mean, Cyril Gane has, impeccable footwork, great movement. He has long range attacks, really good kicks. His jab is nasty and just way crisper, way cleaner, faster than Francis. Francis loads up. There's a lot of wild punches, big, crazy looping shots. And I do think Cyril is definitely, if he can get his timing and, as the fight goes on, I think he could definitely start to take over and pick him apart. I'm going to disagree, though. I don't really see him being able to hit takedowns on Francis, man. I think unless Francis gets dog tired, like really exhausted, because Francis, I mean, the guy is huge. He's going to be significantly bigger than Cyril, and I think he's just a lot more explosive. But, if he gets really tired, then I could see potentially Cyril maybe being able to take him down. And I do think he'd have an advantage in the jiu-jitsu realm. But Francis, man, I mean, the guy is a beast to take. We saw Stipe his last fight. He shot that one double, and Francis sprawled, circled to the back, and, he looked like a monster. So I feel like Cyril's not really – I mean, even if you look at his fight, like when he fought Jairzinho Rosenstruck, you would think maybe he would mix in some grappling there against that type of guy, but he struck for the whole fight. So – I wouldn't be super shocked if he got the takedowns, but I just feel like Francis is a big guy, man. I don't know if you want to be trying to close that distance and be that close to the guy trying to take him down. I think maybe if he gets tired, but early on, I would advise Cyril to stay as far away from that motherfucker as possible, man. Use your jab, stay on the back foot, use kicks, and try not to get hit clean, at least for the first round and a half. But if he gets past that, then you have to think Cyril is going to be, the guy with the better technique, probably the better gas tank. But yeah, I mean, Francis, the guy has a lot to fight for here. I mean, he's been complaining about his contract. If he wins, he has no fights left. He's going to be in a really, really enviable position in terms of trying to get a big contract. And, he's his first title defense. I feel like he has a lot to gain here. If he wins, he could become like a superstar in the sport type of guy. But Cyril Gane's a stiff test for him. And at the end of the day, I did pick Cyril. But this fight, I'm just going to watch and enjoy it, man. I don't want to have any type of bet on either guy here. I know a lot of people are betting on Cyril. I mean, he was an underdog, and then he's now like a pretty sizable favorite, -150 at some spots. So I think Francis, he could ruin a lot of people's nights and get a quick knockout. I mean, the guy's a beast, man. The guy definitely is live against anyone in the world. And Cyril, he could use his skill set and get the win. I mean, the guy's a super skilled guy, probably the most skilled heavyweight. So I'm going to go Cyril. I'm going to actually pick him to win by decision. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Something about this fight, I'm just not that confident picking either guy. Cyril, I mean, you have to think about it too. It's kind of like, man, he fights with his hands down, like against Francis. That's a scary thing, man. I mean, he could definitely get clipped at some point, but he's a beast. He has great footwork. He's really hard to hit, and I'm gonna roll with him here. But yeah, it should be an awesome fight for that main card or the main event. But what's your fight of the night? What do you think is gonna be the fight you're most looking forward to?
Ooh, the best fight. Honestly, I probably like this fight as the best fight of the night, but my most confident pick, I'm gonna go with Ilya Toporia, and I parlayed him with Brandon Moreno because I'm very confident in both those guys.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, so yeah, we just broke down the whole card, UFC 270. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. We might come back, do this again, do it on a more regular basis, maybe for the pay per view cards, or I don't know. We'll think about it. But yeah, really appreciate everyone that joined in the chat. And yeah, man, if there's anything you want to say real quick before we log off, the floor is yours. All right. Yeah. Nice talking to you guys. And thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we'll be back later.